What is up, W Sports Podcast fans? It's Jimothy and Tubby. We're back in our old stomping grounds. In case you've been following the show for a little bit, this is what it used to be like. So, Tubby, thanks to some technical challenges on my part, welcome back to the old school show.
What's up? Yeah, we haven't done this in a little while, so hey, going retro on it.
We are, and I'm kind of cool with it. It's kind of that classic feel. So, if you haven't already, you all should subscribe to this channel. And maybe you're like, hey, Jimothy and Tubby, I would if you guys had a regular schedule. But hey, listen, okay, we've had kind of a wild 2 months from September to October. We're honestly just jam-packed travel and just some other family stuff going on. So one, thank you guys so much for supporting the show and being a part of it. And two, thank you for sticking with us back again today. We're excited to be back. Tubby's extra excited because back-to-back champs for the first time since the Yankees did it at the turn of the century, and the first time in the NL since the Big Red Machine. Tubby, how's it feel?
I mean, honestly, I wasn't sure if it was going to happen. We texted back and forth after the 18-inning game, and we're like, oh, it's wraps. That's going to take all the momentum out of it for Toronto, and all they do is rattle off 2 in a row, and LA take the series, and Dodgers pretty much have to go to Toronto, win 2 in a row. And I mean, who saw Miggy Rojas hitting a home run in the bottom of the ninth or in the top of the ninth, tie up the game, and then coming up with the incredible, snag, throw home, and then Andy Pages just basically mossing Kike out in the outfield. I mean, it was awesome as a Dodgers fan. Awesome to see. It was honestly one of the, if not the greatest World Series I've seen in my life.
Yeah, and I think that's the takeaway that we all should look at as baseball fans. It has been the best World Series from start to finish. And I think there was like one-ish game where it was like, hey, not really competitive, but every single game, especially as the series went on, was super competitive, even towards the end where, yes, I know it was a 3-1 loss, but like the walk-off double play and just so many things like that. This was an incredible, incredible World Series, and the TV ratings would show it too. So baseball fans, they were all about it. And outside of maybe Tubby and some random non-Dodger fans in the United States, everyone was going for the Blue Jays, and they just couldn't get it home.
Well, I mean, Dodgers been there, done that. They know the pressure. I mean, for me though, I think the best part is seeing Kershaw being able to go out on top. I mean, the guy deserves it. One of the greatest pitchers in baseball history. So him being able to go out on top. I don't know if you saw the interview where Mookie, he has his own little podcast, and they're like, all the Dodgers players are there, and they're like, they get on, Vladdy gets on second, they bun him over, and he's like, I start warming up because I'm coming in, because there's a left-handed batter coming up soon. He's like, so I'm out there warming up, Barger gets on first, and then he's like, I'm still throwing pitches, not knowing that we just turned a double play. And someone turns to me and go, hey, why are you still throwing? He goes, because I'm about to go in. He's like, no, we just won. And he's like, I had no idea we won the World Series. I was so locked in, ready to go pitch. He's like, I had no idea we had just won the World Series.
Yeah, incredible. When I saw him go up in the bullpen, I was like, oh, man. Like, it was good. He only had the one moment in the World Series, but bases loaded, gets the strikeout on a classic 3-2 pitch. He had nowhere else to put anybody, so heck of a win. And I will say, like, the Dodgers winning the World Series, the Blue Jays gave it every single thing they had. And ultimately, I think it was just because, the Dodgers just said, we're just going to only throw our starters out here and see what happens. Game 7.
In Game 7, they had everyone on deck. The fact that Yoshi was able to, pitch the night before, then come out and close out the game the way he did. They weren't letting that one go. They threw everything they had at it. Whenever you're able to bring Snell, Glasnow, and Yamamoto out of the bullpen, it's going to be tough for any team to be able to.
And recency bias is always going to be a real thing. But whenever you think of his performance, Yamamoto, how does it stack up against Madison Bumgarner series where he also pitches 3 games, but he had the extra day of rest? It wasn't the night before where he threw 90-plus pitches. To get the final win.
That's true. But Bumgarner did go 7 innings that game, So, I mean, Yamamoto pitched a couple, but they're very similar. But I still think what Bumgarner was able to do to go, just even 1 day rest to go from what you did, then to be able to throw 7 scoreless innings the way you did to close out the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one of the greatest World Series performances you'll ever see from
Yeah.
Bumgarner.
Yeah, and assuming you count the World Series in COVID, which I think most people they do technically do, that
I
is
mean, I do.
3 in 5 years, which now would push this team to a legit dynasty.
Mhm.
It would be the question that you have, and only two of those did you have Shohei, so one of them they didn't.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the Dodgers right now, as great as things are, I think if you begin to turn the page to what next year looks like, you got an aging Mookie Betts who offensively wasn't there
Yeah.
most of the season, and even for a lot of the postseason.
Yeah.
You have a team where Freddie Freeman's another year older. He's still a doubles king, but like I don't know that he's going
Yeah.
to have all the power. But you still have the best player in all of baseball right now in Shohei Ohtani. So I think this is a team that really does have to look at the season and retool a bit
Mhm.
if they want to legit have a shot to go back to back to back. Which again, it's a tall order. I don't know that I see it, but if they want to,
Nah.
that's what they got to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're really going to have to address the bullpen issues. I mean, they had bullpen issues all year. The guys that they signed, they went out and got Kirby Yates. He was terrible, was injured. Uh, Scott, same thing, injured, didn't pitch great. We saw the additions they made in the bullpen. Beginning of the season, we're like, dang, this bullpen is going to be untouchable. Well, to
Mm-hmm.
come find out that our best bullpen arms were uh, Jack Dreyer, who they signed like
Yeah.
right before the season started to a minor league deal. Uh, in the playoffs, Will Stein, he got claimed by the Dodgers a few weeks before September and had a 7 ERA down in AAA, and then comes up and throws three or four scoreless innings in that 18 inning game when the most pitches he's thrown ever in a career in a single game was 30. And he ended up throwing 70 that game. So I mean, granted they were able to find guys, and then Sasaki being the guy at the end of the games most of the time, he's going to go back to being a starting pitcher. He's probably
Yep.
not going to be a
Absolutely.
closer, but I think they'll have to find a way to find some bullpen arms because I just don't think. I mean, Blake Trinan was awful at the end of the season. You couldn't count on the guy to get an out. You knew whenever he came in, I was always like, okay, well, here comes a couple of hits and probably a run. And so
Yeah.
they're going to have to retool the bullpen for sure. And probably they have another outfield position that they're going to have to figure out because Comporto was awful. Kike, you can't count on him until it's the playoff season. And I mean, outside of the playoff season, the playoffs for Pages had an incredible year. So I think that he's trending in the right way. I mean, he was one of the unsung heroes for the Dodgers this year. Batting 270, almost 30 home runs. Defensive wise, he was incredible out in the outfield. Was one of the top, I think, 5 players in baseball in assists from the outfield. But like you said, there's some older guys on that team. Mookie, was it just a down year, or is it we're starting to see the fall off of Mookie Betts? I mean, Freddie still had a decent year, but it was an up and down year where he would go through these really hot stretches. And so, yeah, I think, and then Max Muncy is another one. They picked up his option, but I
They
mean,
did.
Muncy has not been great the last couple of years. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's some questions. Even though you are back-to-back World Series champs, there are some questions when it comes to the makeup of that team.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. The podcast will follow it as we get into some of the winter meetings and some of the trades that will definitely happen. There's a lot of big names that could be moving this year, including World
Yeah,
Series runner-up Bo Bichette. So we'll have to see what
yeah,
that looks like. But we're going to
mm-hmm.
transition now into some college football news and notes. I mean, we didn't get to talk about a heck of a win for Oklahoma against Tennessee on the road. I mean, electric
Yeah,
atmosphere.
yeah,
But ultimately, you look at it's the first college football rankings, which
mm-hmm.
don't mean anything, right? The
Yeah,
preseason don't mean anything with those AP rankings, but we're going to talk about it anyway because
yeah,
there are some teams that are absolutely well deserving. You look at Indiana, you look at Ohio State, Texas A&M, absolutely all belong up there in the top three. But is there a team or
yeah.
two that you think, you know what, I'm not? I think they have a lot of work to do in order to stay there. Obviously, you got to win to stay in there, but like they have a lot of work to do in these wins.
Yeah. I think Notre Dame could be that team just because you look at the rest of their schedule outside of the USC game. Navy really isn't a big enough name right now. Maybe if they would have beat North Texas a few weeks ago, that they would be, someone to keep an eye on. But you've got teams like Texas, Oklahoma, Utah, these teams that have the same record but have better opponents ahead of them. Like, I mean, OU, you finished the season with Alabama, Missouri, who were both in the top 25. Alabama's in the top five, and LSU, even though LSU isn't having the season everyone expected, that's still better than a Navy and USC, I would imagine. And same thing with Texas. You got Georgia and Texas A&M still left on the schedule. So I think that's the team. They're right on. They're at 10. They're right on that border where even if you win, it may be hard for you to stay up there just because of quality wins going forward. There's not enough on your schedule to, I think, maintain if Oklahoma and Texas keep winning.
Yeah, and I think those are some of the key ones that you look at. Texas, good luck. I don't know. They almost blew
Yeah.
it against Vandy at 24 in the end there. And I'm going to pull another team. It's the Big 12. The Big 12 right now has Texas Tech and BYU, who have both been playing really well. Texas Tech has, I think, obviously they play each other this weekend, right? So one of those teams is going to have 2 losses, and it's going to be desperate to try and be able to make it back into it. They're going to have to win the Big 12, I think, in order to do that. But
well, I mean, if BYU loses, they'll only have 1 loss. So
correct. Now I'm looking at their schedule. I think they have a very winnable end of the schedule. They don't have more bye weeks, but they get TCU, Cincinnati, and Central Florida. Cincinnati is the only one you're like, hey, that one's actually a bit of a tough matchup on the road. But Texas Tech, they have at West Virginia still on the calendar. And I know West Virginia is not great, but that is a tough road trip.
Yeah, for sure.
So looking at those two, those are my 2 teams. But I don't know that I believe in BYU yet. Maybe that's
I don't
my problem.
either. I mean, that probably is a very realistic possibility. I mean, I'm the same way. I haven't bought in on BYU yet, but I mean, who knows? You go out there and get a big win down in Lubbock this weekend, then maybe things start changing, because that Texas Tech team is one of the more well-rounded teams, I would think, in college football from the offensive side, with Baron Morton coming back this week, and that defense has been really good for them. So it'll be a good test for them if they can go in and take out the Red Raiders, and maybe that changes my mind a little bit. But I mean, I think if anything, one thing we need to talk about is like what's going to happen with the ACC. I mean,
that was my next question. Absolutely. You got a clump of, I don't know if anybody's going to get in there. Did I lose you? May have lost time there for a second.
You've got.
I'm caught back up now.
Yeah, so you got these teams that like in the middle of the top, or in the teens to 25, but Miami was the big name at the beginning of the season. They've lost 2. Was it 2 in their last 3 games, and then
bad losses.
Georgia Tech gets upset, and then you still got Virginia and Louisville there, but you're like, do you really trust Virginia and Louisville? Not really. And so it's going to be interesting, because they will more than likely steal a spot from someone in the top 12 or top 11, I would say, just because there will be an ACC champion automatically get in. So more than likely they're going to steal a spot, and it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward with that conference.
Yeah, Georgia Tech gets Pitt, who's the 5th ACC team that's ranked right now, and then Georgia. I don't know that Georgia Tech can overcome the loss that they had unless they can win the ACC, and it's just crazy to look at this in the Big 12, where you're like, these are multiple 2 Power 4 conferences that the pathway to it, outside of maybe BYU, that you got to win this thing because of the losses. And I think the expectation with a 12-team playoff is you should have a loss or 2. Like, you just have to understand what's going to happen, especially with as big as these leagues are at this point. But it's definitely, for the Georgia Tech, that loss to NC State was just, you can't have it.
No, not at that time in the season. If that happens maybe the first couple of weeks of the season, you can overcome that. But this late in the season, it was basically, now you, as a Georgia Tech, team fan, you're going to have to win out and, win the ACC to realistically have a shot.
Yeah. Well, let's go through some quick picks for this weekend, some matchups, and then we're going to move on to the NFL. Tubby, tonight you got USC Northwestern. Can USC be up in a Big Ten matchup? It just feels weird. I don't know why they keep playing on Fridays.
Right. I mean, This is an interesting game, I think. I mean, Northwestern,
They've been
won
competitive.
4 out of their last 5 games, but I think USC still gets the win. I mean, would I put it past the Lincoln Riley team to play down to a physical team? Absolutely not. And so if Northwestern somehow comes up with this win, I wouldn't be overly shocked just because we have seen it time and time again. A physical team against a Lincoln Riley offense is usually a death sentence for a Lincoln Riley team because he just does, they don't play with that type of physicality. I'm still going to take USC, but I think it's going to be a closer game.
And how about the challenge that you have for the Big 12? You have the top two teams. You have BYU, Texas Tech. Big 12 is
Yeah.
like 11 a.m. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, so who you got in this one? It isn't at Texas Tech.
I'm going to take Texas Tech. I think with Baron Morton coming back, and like I said, I think they are one of the more well-rounded teams in college football when it comes to offense and defensive side. I think this defense is going to put a lot of pressure on Bachmeyer, and I think that we'll see Texas Tech take that leap and be the top team in the Big 12.
Yeah, I see that too. Especially if this was a night game in either
Mm-hmm.
destination, it's a massive home field
Yeah,
advantage. 11 a.m. is a tough kick. I mean, classic Big 12 right there. So thanks a lot.
right.
Who you got? Iowa hosting Oregon. Can they make the upset?
I don't. They could, but I'm going to take Oregon. I just even with Iowa. I mean, this is like the typical Iowa thing. We see it every year. They in top 25. They got really good defense, but the quarterback questions are still there. I think Oregon is just going to be a little too much for Iowa to overcome.
Yeah. Well, I got two more games for you, real quick, Tubby. This is team that's most likely to have a bounce back win or upset after firing a coach. You got Auburn over who are they playing? Why did I just lose that? Auburn playing Vandy on the road, or LSU taking down Alabama on the road.
Uh, Golly, that's tough. I don't know. I'll take LSU just because I think they have a better team. I think Auburn is just an absolute dumpster fire right now. You look at the situation, especially when it comes to quarterback play. They don't know who they want to play. They went with Ashton Daniels last week, and we saw how that turned out. It got your coach fired. And they stuck with Jackson Arnold for so long. Well, we saw how that worked out. It got your coach fired. So I think if anything, do I think LSU is going to beat Alabama? No, but they have a solid defense. So at least we'll keep them in the game. It's just been the weirdest thing is the questions on offense for LSU all season, which shouldn't have been the question. And it's still going to be the biggest question going into that game is can they find a way to score points?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm right there with you. LSU at least has the talent. We'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
let's move on to the NFL. We are over the halfway mark. We're about nine games into for most of these teams, 9 or 8 games. So you have a good sample size. I would like a formal apology though from the NFL for last night's game. That was disgusting. Glad I didn't
That
have
was
to watch
brutal.
it. 10-7. Neither team rushes for 100 yards. Neither quarterback was any good.
Yeah.
Just a classic Thursday night football game, which you haven't necessarily seen this year.
Yeah.
But the Broncos are now 8-2. Are you buying this Broncos team as a legit AFC contender?
I saw this thing today and it like made 100% sense. And it was like the Broncos are the team in fantasy football at 7-2, but have only scored the 6th most points, but have given up the least amount of points. So they are winning, but they're not really as good as the numbers show. I mean, Bo has played decent, for the most part, but yeah, I don't buy this team at all being, this good and despite their record. I think, yeah, they have a good defense, but what does that defense look like against a really good offense with Pat
Keep going. I
Surtain
gotta go turn
out?
the slide back on.
I got you. So I think that there's questions with this team when it comes, especially rushing the football. And I think that you also look at Bo Nix's numbers throwing the ball down the field. He leads the NFL in most overthrows on 20 plus yard passes. And so that's another issue where I think that you watch that game and so much of it was him just standing there, taking two-step drop and trying to throw a slant. Two-step drop, trying to throw a slant, not being able to go down the field and teams will be able to set on that going forward. And so, yeah, they are 8-2. They're probably going to make the playoffs, but are they really going to be a threat in the playoffs? Probably not.
Yeah, let's not forget that the Broncos were the number 3 team in the AFC West last year, which means they played the third toughest schedule of that
Mm-hmm.
or easiest schedule of that
Yeah.
team, or whatever you want to say, in that division, and they are 1-2 against playoff teams. That's
Yeah.
flat out it. All the other teams they have not. Colts they lost. Chargers they lost. They did beat the Eagles on the road, which is still an impressive win.
Yeah.
But so far, they had the Chiefs next week, and then they get the Commanders, Raiders before they get the Packers. I mean, this is a team right here that should win 10 games. It
Yeah.
should be a 10,
For
11
sure.
win team right here again. So I just don't know.
But
I think you're right. Don't buy it as a legit contender.
yeah, I mean, it is basically what we saw from the Broncos last year. You look at the schedule that they played last year; they didn't win a single game going up into the playoffs against a team that was with a winning record.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a lot of the same thing this year, where yeah, the numbers and the record looks good, but is it really as good as it looks once you really dive into it? And it's just not.
Well, if that is a team you're like, I don't really buy it. How about everyone's darling right now? You get Drake May, an MVP candidate, and the seven
I'm
and
telling
two
you.
New England Patriots. But look a little bit deeper. This team right now against playoff teams, they have one win. They're not
Mm-hmm.
playing against playoff teams. Let's just
No,
throw that out there right now. Falcons,
no,
Browns, Titans, Saints, Panthers,
yeah,
Steelers, who technically are a playoff team, and Dolphins. Those are some of the teams that they played. This is not a good strength of schedule. Are
no.
you still buying the team though?
I I'm not buying the record, but I'm buying what I'm seeing from Drake May. This is a guy that we talked about at the beginning of the season. I thought he he was a breakout candidate when it came to the NFL this year. That we were going to see a difference in him, especially once they start getting that Mike Vrabel culture built up, and we're starting to see that now. He's making a lot better decisions than he did last year, and he's being. You can really see that he is leading that team. So I don't know if I'm buying them as a team right now, but maybe next year if they're able to get a few more things going, if they can figure out a run game, because we all thought Trevion Henderson was going to be the guy because of the fumble issues from Ramondre. Trevion Henderson hasn't taken that over, and they still don't have a legitimate number one wide receiver. You get a legitimate number one wide receiver, get a good running back. This team really could next year push
Take a step
teams in the
forward.
AFC. Yeah,
Well, they're potentially. I mean, they still obviously have Buffalo, who's still in
yeah,
the division, only one game back, but they still have
mm-hmm.
to play them twice. So we're going to see how this one really shakes out there. But let's
Yeah,
look over to the NFC. A team I want to bring up real quick is Seattle and San Francisco. We expected the Rams to be good right now, but we are looking at
yeah,
two teams right now, each with 6 wins and two or
mm-hmm.
three losses, depending on if they've had the bye week or not. Are you
Yeah,
more or less buying into the Seahawks or the 49ers at this point? Where the 49ers have absolutely no health
yeah.
besides
No,
CMC.
I'm buying in on Seattle. Honestly, I am shocked to see how well Sam Darnold's still playing this year. We were both expecting a big drop off this year. Jackson Smith and Jigba has turned into one of the best wide receivers in the
Yeah.
NFL. And then you start seeing the emergence of a guy like Torrey Horton Jr., who has really taken off over the last couple of weeks. And then now you throw in a guy like Rashid Shaheed, who's able to take the top off of you. We got your two little slot guys that can work in the middle. And that defense, the defense is mean. The defense is starting to bring back feelings of the Legion of Boom with the secondary, with
Mm-hmm.
guys like Reek Woolen and Devon Witherspoon, Nicky Manwari, Julian Love. They have a really good defense, and I think this is a team. I mean, we talked about this before the season, that this was the team, the sneaky team to watch in the NFC West to win this division, because of everything that you saw with San Francisco, with the injuries, the guys that they lost. And then we were still worried about Matthew Stafford, the back injury, how much. Well, it hasn't really affected him a whole lot, but still, this is a team, I think, that when it comes down to it, this is a mean team when it comes to the defensive side. And if Sam Darnold keeps playing the way he is right now, this is a team to watch out for.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job of keeping it up in a new system with the new team outside of what he did
Yeah.
in Minnesota. So it's looking great. How legit? We're gonna get to some of the actual contenders here in just a second. But how
Hmm.
legit would you say? And I'm gonna have to take this off. There's a delivery at the door. I have to go open up real quick.
Okay.
But I need you to tell me about the Panthers, and then you can follow it up with your Packers thoughts.
Okay. Sounds good. So Panthers, I'm not buying a whole lot. Yeah, they got the big win against the Packers, but you got to look at it as a whole. They have a point differential of negative 35. Bryce Young hasn't really looked as well as I think a lot of people expected. The way he ended last year, we expected him to take that into this year, and it's really just kind of been a lot of the same when it comes to Bryce Young. Yeah, he's picked it up over the last couple of weeks, but the biggest reason why they've been winning so much lately is the emergence of Rico Dowdle on the field. With Chuba going down, trying to figure out, how the run game was going to, translate without Chuba in there. Well, Dowdle, I think right now sitting somewhere around third or fourth in the NFL in rushing. So I don't buy into this team a whole lot as the Carolina Panthers, just because the point differential, Bryce Young really hasn't played great. I expected more from Bryce after the way he ended last year. Yeah, they get the win against the Packers, which, I mean, honestly, isn't a tough thing to do right now. The Packers aren't playing great, but yeah, I don't buy him really a whole lot when it comes to playoff picture in the NFC. Now, the Packers, this is a typical Packers thing we see from them year in, year out. They play down to their opponents every single, we saw it against the Browns, lose to the Browns. You saw it against the Cowboys, tie with the Cowboys. Now you see it with Carolina Panthers, a team that they should beat at home. You lose to them. But when you get teams like, you know, the Lions, you beat the Lions, you beat the Commanders, beat these bigger teams, the better teams. They just have to find some consistency of, okay, we can't allow ourselves to play down to an opponent just because we should beat them. We don't have to try as hard. And a lot of that is on Matt LaFleur. Getting your team ready to play against anyone, no matter who it is, every single week and go out there and give your all. And the offense sputtering wise, I think the biggest issue is the injuries to Josh Jacobs. Yeah, he's playing through it, but he's got a calf injury, and you can tell the explosiveness isn't there right now, like we saw last year, and that's really hampered their offense because last year when they had success, it was early in the beginning of the games. You had Josh Jacobs running for 50, 60 yards in the first quarter. He led the NFL in most rushing yards in the first quarter, and that we're not seeing that this year. And so the balance on the offensive side for the Packers has been an issue. And also the secondary problems, even as good as the pass rush has been, the secondary has been absolutely awful. And the fact that they didn't make any moves for someone in the secondary at the deadline really made me upset because they needed to do something. They're trying to, Asante Samuels, Junior got cleared, so now he's out there, and they brought him in yesterday for a visit, so maybe they pull the trigger and get Asante Samuel, but I don't know where to really think for this Packers team right now. They've kind of just, it's a big confusing mess right now.
Yeah, a little bit of it is. Well, how about this? Let's end this show with two teams from each the AFC and two teams from the NFC that
Mm-hmm.
you think at this point are the top two. Like this is the path to the Super Bowl goes through these two teams. So they're two that sticks out to you, Tubby.
Okay. Yeah. So from the AFC side, it's no question. It's the Bills, and it is still the Chiefs. I don't
Yep.
care about the record for the Chiefs, 5-4, and they're going to miss the playoffs. They ain't going to miss the playoffs, folks. They're not going to miss the playoffs.
They
Yeah, you
have
lost
just for
to
the
the
record, they
Bills.
have the best point differential in the league right now in the AFC. Just throw that
Yeah,
out there.
yeah,
No,
exactly.
besides the Colts, who played nobody. Sorry.
Yeah. We ain't going to get on that. They're the most fake two-loss team ever in the NFL. We won't get into
Vikings
that
that
too
one year
much.
was pretty rough.
I mean, yeah, I
They were
mean,
better.
but the Colts, you go look at that
It's bad.
schedule, it's not good. And so, yeah, I still think that the AFC runs through Buffalo and Kansas City. I mean, maybe the Ravens with some of the injuries getting healthy, they might be able to poke their nose in there at late in the season and give some teams some fits. But we're looking at the NFC side, it's still the Eagles. Even with the disappointments that we've seen and not so great play for the Eagles, they're still one of the top teams. And then the other one, I think it's going to be a shocker. I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. The way that
Wow.
defense is playing right now is they're one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they can consistently play. And like I said, we get that Sam Darnold that we saw, so far this season. This team is going to be tough, and I think that's where the flip side we saw from last year with Sam Darnold as well as he played, and they try to act like the Vikings defense was so good last year. It really wasn't that good. This defense keeps you in games even if Darnold doesn't play great. And Walker, has played really good this year, been able to stay on the field this year compared to normal. This is a team I think that is going to give a lot of teams in the NFC in the playoffs a fit because that defense. And if you have to go to Seattle for a playoff game, it's not going to be fun with 12th man because we've seen it in the past. Not an easy place to play, especially in a playoff game.
Yeah, I would agree with the Eagles until proven otherwise. It's kind of like the Chiefs
Mm-hmm.
until proven otherwise. Which, by the way, anybody who like just a 1 week difference. I know they lost to the Bills on the road,
Yeah.
and they technically had the ball with a chance to go score and tie.
Mm-hmm.
So just well, whatever that is, the difference in the media attention of like this team is going to win the Super Bowl and they're back to this team needs to blow it up. They're terrible. It is so annoying. So I cannot listen to this garbage.
Yeah.
The team is going to be good. In the NFC, I would agree with you on the Eagles. I want to say Tampa Bay, but they have had so many injuries this year. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if they can overcome it yet. So
Yeah.
if I'm going to pick a second team, it's going to be the Lions, even though I don't buy it yet. I think it's honestly just such an open
It
NFC
really
right
is.
now that whoever can get hot at the right time. And the thing about the
Mm-hmm.
Lions this year, they lost twice at home already. That's why I don't like it. It's like this is a team that used to have a dominant home field advantage, and they're just not right now. Losing your coordinators, that's part of the business. But
Yeah.
that's why, like, oh, I don't know. The team that has the best like road record and home record, honestly, is the Packers. But the inconsistencies,
Yeah.
I cannot. There's just too much there for me to look past.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like I said, I think that's one reason why, like, it may be like recency bias with Seattle with the way that they played, on Monday night and stuff. But I like I said, I defense. The defense, a lot of it reminds me of what we saw from the Eagles last year, defensive wise, where they're starting to get to where they are dominating games, and that is, you know, a recipe for success when it comes to the NFL is being able to dominate games, and your offense can have an off night, but your defense is so good that it can put you in those positions to win no matter what. I think that's why I kind of went with them over the Lions and the Bucks. The Bucks, same reason. If they were healthy, it would be the Bucks and the Eagles. But the Bucks, the injuries had just decimated that team right now. And the Lions, like I don't buy it either. I think that they are fake. I think they're phony. There's a disconnect somewheres from last year to this year, and it very well could be the Ben Johnson, not being there, but there's something off about them compared to I think what a lot of people were expecting.
Well, ultimately, that's just part of the college. That's part of the NFL. Is there can be a lot of this, back and forth here. So,
Mm-hmm.
worst to first. So, this is halfway
Yeah,
through the season. Who knows what's going to happen on the second half of the year? The
yeah,
good news is we're going to be talking about it here on the W Sports Podcast. So, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can always join the chat as always. We greatly appreciate you guys because W, if there's one thing we know, it's you just got to listen.
just gotta listen.
Yeah, classic. So, appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
See ya.
See you.